now, fans of the Resistance, Matt Heywood here to recap and review Star Wars Resistance, The New World, and No Place Safe, aka S2, E15, and 16, the two-parter. The two-parter begins with Kaz working on the fireball as the Colossus enters the atmosphere of a planet called Eos. Kaz runs off to Doza to see why they're docking, and Doza reveals that he thinks this planet is safe, so he wants to remain there and stop running from the Order. Yeager then sends the Aces out to scout the planet for resources, with Kaz and Griff teaming up to check out a sector. They find a blown out village and land to investigate it, but as Kaz is looking around he finds a First Order helmet, which clues him in that this planet isn't as safe as Doza thought. He goes to find Griff, but he's gone, so Kaz and Seabee head into a cave to look for him. In the cave, he finds an old rebel outpost, but before he can leave, he gets captured by some locals. Back on the Colossus, Yeager is concerned that Kaz hasn't checked in yet, but Doza is still pushing for everyone to stay on Eos. The action returns to Kaz, who is now locked up with Griff by the Aosians, but as usual, he doesn't really have a plan for escape. On the Colossus, 4D warns Doza of a few objects approaching, which happen to be Aosian soldiers, so they land on the ship and Yeager tries some diplomacy, but then Niku's battle droids come out and get the party started. Our heroes are forced to retreat as the locals try to break into the Colossus. While this is going on, Kaz and Griff are taken to the Aosian Queen, who condemns them to death because she thinks they're no different than the First Order. En route to be eaten, Kaz once again tries to deal with the Queen, but she isn't having it, so Seabee drops a smokescreen so the two can break free. Kaz heads to a sick bay of sorts and uses some meds on a sick alien, but then he's caught by the Queen, who is ready to kill him herself. Just then, the sick soldier comes to, and it is revealed that Kaz healed him, so now the Queen is down to help them out. Back on the Colossus though, the Aosians are breaking through, but just when it seems as if they're going to take out the good guys, the Queen shows up and blows a Game of Thrones style horn to stop the madness. Doza and the Queen talk peace, and the day is saved, for now, because Kaz knows he must be ready to fight the Order when it shows up. The episode then moves into its second part by showing Doza giving the Queen a tour of the Colossus. Kaz isn't so happy though, because while watching the Aces race, he tells Yeager he needs to go and fight with the Resistance. Kaz calls up Norvath to inform him he wants to fight, as Doza comes in to say his goodbyes. Meanwhile, we get to see that Pyre is launching orbital probes throughout the sector to try and find where the Colossus is at. Back on the Colossus, Kaz has an impromptu going away party as Niku, Tora, and Sonara all say their goodbyes before Yeager comes in to give Kaz one final talk. He gives Kaz the fireball, even though it clearly pisses Bucket off, and then Kaz flies off to join the Resistance. Unfortunately for Kaz, one of Pyre's orbital droids spots him leaving the planet and gives chase, trying to blow him up with some missiles. Kaz manages to take out the probe, but in the process, he knocks out the fireball too. Pyre still gets the signal from the probe, so he prepares his forces for an attack on the Eos Prime system. Back in space, Kaz jumps Seabee back to life, and the two get the fireball working enough to crash land it back on the Colossus, so Kaz can warn Doza and the others about the attack. On Pyre's destroyer, Tam and Rucklin prepare for the attack, and Tam is definitely still wonky about going after the Colossus, but her ego keeps her driven. At this point, the First Order begins attacking the Colossus, so Doza has 4D prepare for their exit. The Queen pledges to help them escape though, so it pays to make friends. The Aces launch a massive air battle, which ensues with the First Order. The Colossus is taking tons of damage though, but it still manages to lift off and head towards space. Kaz has the Aces target the destroyer to take its focus off of the Colossus, which works, but then he gets Tam on his tail. She locks him in, but like Kylo and TLJ, she can't fire. Her pause gives Kaz enough time to fire a torpedo at the destroyer bridge, but Tam uses her skills to blow it away and crash lands on the destroyer after saving it. This allows the Colossus to make the jump, so once again Pyre fails to destroy it. Tierney ridicules him, but he hints that Hux isn't his biggest concern, which could imply Kyla has become supreme leader at this point. Kaz and Yeager talk about how far Tam has fallen, and Yeager pretty much says to forget about her, but that probably won't happen anytime soon, because it's revealed that she's made a TIE commander now after her earlier heroics, so the showdown between Tam and her friends is still on. The end. I wasn't a fan of Resistance going for a two-parter, mostly because it meant more work for me on YouTube, but after watching episodes 15 and 16, I quite enjoyed the extended Resistance story that we got. The second part was better than the first, but the first did do a great job at setting up the Ocean people, as well as how the First Order's treacheries have touched nearly everyone in the galaxy at this point. But like I said, the second part is really where this two-parter starts to shine, and I have to credit that to Kaz. He gets pretty serious in this episode, and his goodbyes on the Colossus felt genuine and real. This show doesn't opt for emotion very often, at least of the serious kind, so I appreciate feeling a little sad for Kaz as he prepared to take the fight to the First Order with the Resistance. I also enjoyed getting Tam in this episode and seeing how she still struggles with her feelings for her friends and the First Order. You can see how intoxicated she is by the Order, and how it lets her be a fighter pilot, but yet again, when presented with the chance to become a hero of the Order by taking out Kaz, she can't quite follow through with the deed. This episode just did a fine job at showing her pull between the two factions, and it mirrors those we've seen in other Star Wars characters who may have been misled by the forces of evil. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subbing to our YouTube channel. We'd also love for you to join in with our weekly Star Wars podcast, so use the links in this video's description or head to StarWarsTime.net to subscribe to the platform of your choice. There's always time for Star Wars time, and remember, if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with you, always.